Adam, before
Yes,
we
sir.
wrap this up, and ask you the last two questions. I wanted to get your perspective as a general manager, a head coach, and an offensive coordinator. You have a player like Nick Arbuckle who's playing at an MOP level right now, and then you have a quarterback with the talent of Chad Kelly, who unfortunately he's been out the last 10 months. As a head coach, and it's not easy, obviously, you know from your experience, Ryan Dimwitty, how difficult is it for a head coach to take a guy out like Arbuckle, who has chemistry with this team and is playing well, to bring back a quarterback who's very talented, but he's been out for 10 months? I just wanted to get your quick thoughts on the Arbuckle Kelly situation in Toronto.
Arbuckle should finish the season, I think. Kelly can get better. He had a serious injury, apparently, because he's still not playing. So how ready is he really going to be, right? So you can save him. Now, is Arbuckle under contract for next season? That's where you're going to have a problem, right? You know, if he's under contract and Kelly's under contract, then you got to trade one of them and hope you can get a backup quarterback that has that kind of pedigree, you know, in the making. That's my, as a GM, I would try to keep them both, you know.
Mm.
But as a coach, I'm not sure I can manipulate both, you know.
It's
But
very interesting to see how it kind of parallels to, say, BC last season, where they kind of fell in a similar situation where Nathan Rourke came back after some time in the NFL trying to scout for teams, and they had Vernon Adams, and it kind of backfired on BC, where they did bring Rourke back, but it also cost them circumventing the cap, and then they trade Vernon Adams away to Calgary in the offseason, but they still have to pay the penalties in terms of draft picks. I think it's a little bit different in the situation with Toronto because, of course, like it's not like Chad Kelly went and tried out for Indianapolis and Baltimore and Cleveland or wherever, and then came back, and he's always been within the Argonauts radar, and he's been maybe not all the time, but he's been present in practice, even if it's on the sidelines or in a limited capacity. But it's just such a really difficult decision to make on when you bring him back and how difficult you play. In part because of how well Nick Arbuckle's played with 300 yards passing over the last 6 games. But at the same time, on that argument, like not that it's his fault, but they've only won 3 of those 6 games, so it really makes a really challenging, almost a lose-lose situation if you're in management. Because if you keep Arbuckle in and he doesn't work well, you can say, oh well, they should have put Chad Kelly in. But if they put Chad Kelly in and it doesn't work out, then you say, oh, they should have kept Nick, the hot hand, in.
well, I don't think it's a problem this year.
Hmm.
Um, Although the press would like to make it a problem because really, you can justify the fact the way Arbuckle's playing and Chad Kelly hasn't played. He hasn't
10
played.
months.